Hello, welcome to Learning Life Podcast. My name is Tadisha, and I'm so glad you're here. This is a safe place where we can both learn and unlearn a lot of things about life. Let's get started. Hello, welcome back to Learning Life Podcast. I'm Tadisha, and this episode I want to talk about another really life-changing topic. It's forgiveness. Forgiveness. And I want to talk about this because I've been learning so much through recent life experiences and from other people how forgiveness and how unforgiveness can have major consequences. All right. So without further ado, let me jump right into it. Recently, I was in a Bible study, and one of the verses that we were given to study is in Matthew chapter 18, verses 21. And the verse, I'm going to read it right now. It goes, "Then Peter came up and said to him, Lord, how often will my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? As many as 7 times? Jesus said to him, I do not say to you 7 times, but 70 times 7. I'm going to read it now. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Jesus saith unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. So Peter had a question that made a lot of sense. He wants to know, how many times are we supposed to forgive a person? How many times are we supposed to clean the slate? And Peter is like, it's got to be 7 times. And Jesus says 70 times 7. The message there. And mind you, it makes perfect sense that Peter asked this question, because if you read in other parts of the Bible, it's revealed that Peter kind of has a temper. He has anger management problems. At one point, somewhere in the Bible, I can't remember exactly what part, it said that Peter liked to curse. Okay? Kind of makes sense because he was a fisher. And, even to this day, the fishers and the sailors, sometimes they said they had a foul mouth. So I find this very interesting to see the humanity and the reality of the disciples. They were real people. They had emotion. Sometimes growing up, we get taught the Bible from a kind of fanciful way, or you just don't get a deep understanding of how each one of the disciples and other people, their experiences, you can see it, how they react to their experiences as a human being. So Peter was like expecting Jesus to say how many times. And Jesus gave him a number that's like, you just keep forgiving. And so I want to share that for a long time, I didn't grasp the importance of forgiving people. And I want to say this right now. If you have difficulties in life, if you find yourself not progressing, or things just don't turn out right for you, could it be that you have a forgiveness problem? I know this for a fact because for a long time, there were people in my life, family and people I knew, that I held grudges against. I held resentment against. In my heart, I was bitter towards them. because I felt that they had abandoned me, or they weren't there when I needed their support, or there were things that I wanted and they weren't able to meet it for whatever reason. And I just want to share this. Recently, I was listening to I listen to a lot of podcasts and this stuff on the internet. Some of it's good, some of it I take with a grain of salt. So, but I'm sharing with you what I have kind of analyzed and compared to some of my experiences, and I find this to be true. Sometimes when our parents don't live up to our expectations, we can become bitter towards them. We can feel that they abandoned us, they didn't do right by us, and that bitterness can hold you back your whole life if you let it. I'm a living example of this. For a long time, I harbored some resentment against my parents because I honestly felt like they each abandoned me in their own way. And so I was very angry, but some people, they turn their anger outward. And so, they get angry with people and they fight and whatever. For me, and if you have this same characteristic, you may turn your anger inward. And turning your anger inward a lot of times will lead to disharmony, inner disharmony, the inability to succeed because you're harboring that hidden hate and pain in your heart. And then also it will turn into depression. Anger turned inward oftentimes leads to depression. So that is like 2 or 3 ways that unforgiveness can hold you back in life. And it seems like something that wouldn't matter, that you don't forgive somebody because they did you wrong. And quite naturally, we're taught that if someone does you wrong, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Something that I just learned? Literally, you have to forgive so that you can move forward in your life. You have to forgive so that the enemy, the devil, doesn't have a right to accuse you of harboring sin. It's a sin to hate someone, even if they've done you wrong. It's a sin not to forgive someone, even if they've done you wrong. And so the enemy will a lot of times make you step into a situation or get into a relationship with a person who hurts you so much that you can't forgive them. And your entire life will be revolving around the fact that they did you wrong and you are vindictive about it. And I have to tell you the truth. For a long time, I had a vindictive streak. I am working on that because it will be that the simplest things, the slightest things would trigger me because it's connected to all the other experiences that I had as childhood. So all of a sudden, the slightest things would trigger me. And the next thing you know, I'm resenting a person. I am vindictive towards a person. And a vindictive heart does not get you success. An unloving heart does not get you the success you want in life. Something I learned is that when you forgive others, you allow God to pour the blessings in your life that you need. Not forgiving is only going to keep you in the darkness, in the bondage, the way the enemy designed that unforgiveness to work. And what I have learned, and this has made it easier for me to forgive people, because I'm finally getting to a point where I can say, I know this person did me wrong, but I've been holding that pain for years and it's gotten me nowhere. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. Having that hate, that animosity towards that person got me nowhere. So I, after hearing this, realized, yes, it's true. You have any kind of ill will, even if they did do you wrong, it's only going to hold you back. What I learned recently that helped to kind of set me free from this bondage is that when you forgive a person, you don't have to let them back into your life. That's what really set me free. Because for a long time, I was under the impression that if someone did you dirty, forgiveness meant that you have to forgive them and just play along and act like they never hurt you. And so it's a thin line. It's a thin line here. But the thing is, forgiveness means that you don't hold that feeling, that negative feeling for that person anymore. You let it go. You choose to let go of that negative feeling, and you don't have to let them back in your life, but wish them well and let it go. Move forward. There's a verse in the Bible. I'm going to read two different translations. And this verse is Luke chapter 9, verse 62. And Jesus was speaking to his disciples again. And this is the New Living Translation. It goes, "But Jesus told him, anyone who puts a hand to the plow and then looks back is not fit for the kingdom of God." In the New International Version, it says, Jesus replied, "No one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God." So in other words, how can you live a victorious life serving God, serving the kingdom of God while looking back? It's not possible. And the comparison here is to a farmer who is using a plow. So if you're working on something, if you keep looking back, how are you going to accomplish what you're working on? There's a modern expression I think that really maybe can express this even better than my explanation. And it's, if you're looking constantly in the rearview mirror, how are you going to see where you're driving? You're going to crash. All right. So if you want to be set free, you got to forgive. And forgiving does not mean you have to let that person back in your life. But to forgive means you let go of the negativity and you decide, you choose to wish them well. If they're a messed up person, you might come to the point that you have to pray for them. Basically, if the person was messed up and they did something wrong to you, that was the enemy using them because they were lost. They're confused. They're in darkness. So they know no difference from right from wrong. Because sometimes I've in the past been like, why this person do this to me? I didn't even know them well enough for them to do that. And hindsight, as they say, is the best. I'll be like, but this person, they're not even a believer. They don't even have any moral aptitude or moral values. So how can you expect someone in the dark to understand the light, to understand the truth, to understand morals and all that? So forgive if you want to succeed. Forgive if you want to move forward with your life. Take it from me. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in, and join me for next week's episode. Until then, stay blessed. Take care. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is Learning Life Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you learned something, that you enjoyed this episode. If you want to support this podcast, please subscribe. Thank you so much. See you next week.